Social media makes me feel anxious, depressed, frustrated, self-conscious, and sad. After scrolling through Instagram, I sometimes feel like I can't measure up, left out, like I need to work on my appearance, like I'm not up to par, inadequate. These are examples of the responses I received when, in an attempt to better understand the impact of social media on our lives, I asked hundreds of college students and adults to complete two very simple sentences. Social media makes me, and after scrolling through Instagram, I sometimes feel. Now, based on conversations with many friends and fellow researchers, and even noticing things in myself at times when scrolling through my news feeds, I can't say that I was surprised at these responses, but I can say that I grew a little sad. Themes of personal inadequacy and unhappiness and anxiety and discontent were repeated over and over again, and some even spoke to social media triggering their battles with clinical depression and eating disorders. Now, my method thus far for looking at the impact of social media on our lives is by no means robust, but these exercises are tapping into something we can't ignore, something that sheds a deeper layer of understanding on what research has already begun to uncover. Social media appears to be having a negative impact on our mood and our self-esteem and our sense of self-worth. But why? Now, to answer this question, we first need to understand a few things about ourselves. So one, we have a fundamental need to be seen. Two, we have a fundamental need to share and express ourselves to others. Three, we have a fundamental need to connect and interact with others, in essence, to be social. Social media provides the perfect opportunity to do these things. We get to be seen in these social spaces, we get to express ourselves, and we get to connect with others. Now, a fourth thing we need to understand is we have a fundamental need to evaluate ourselves. And knowing this helps us understand our tendency to compare ourselves. Now, let me ask you this. How many of you in here have been told some version of don't compare yourself to others? Show of hands. Mm-hmm. Me too. Well, I hate to break it to you, but this in and of itself isn't the most effective advice. You see, according to a theory by Leon Festinger, his theory is called social comparison theory, we have a strong desire to gain an accurate assessment of who we are, an accurate assessment of our thoughts and our abilities. So we look for a standard, a benchmark to measure ourselves up against. Well, other people provide that standard. Without some level of comparison, we wouldn't know where we're different, we wouldn't know our strengths, we wouldn't know what unique things we bring to the table, and without some level of comparison, there would be no such thing as role models, because that would take an acknowledgement that where they are isn't where we are yet, but it's where we would like to be. Now, how we treat these comparisons can certainly lead to some unhelpful and unproductive patterns, but comparison is simply a source of information that we get to decide what we want to do with. So being seen and expressing ourselves and connecting with others and gaining feedback about our thoughts and our abilities and even gaining inspiration, it's no wonder social media has become so important to us, why it draws us in, why it affects us. But when and how does this effect become bad? Well, this has to do with another fundamental thing that we do: make meaning. We are hardwired for meaning making, for judging everything it is that we see, for attaching meaning to our environments, all to make sense out of them. This is what we do as creatures. We are meaning-making creatures. And this, too, is what we do in social media. We take these platforms that have no inherent meaning, platforms that don't have a singular meaning, and we instantaneously and often unfairly give them one. And that's the problem. The meaning that we're giving social media. the meaning that we're allowing it to have for ourselves and for our lives. Now, while this plays out in a number of different ways, one of the most problematic ways involves the meaning we attach to the information that social media provides us about standing. You see, social media, with its likes and its comments and its follower counts, provides us information about our social media standing and our social media value. But we have somehow allowed this information to become a measure of our actual standing and our actual value. A measure of our actual significance and importance, a measure of our contribution, a measure of who we are. Social media was never meant to qualify our worth as human beings or our existence, but we're letting it. Another problematic way that this plays out is in the meaning we attach to the information we see from other people. You see, for many, social media has become a timetable, a master schedule of sorts that tells us when and how things are supposed to happen in our lives. If friends have bought houses, then we should have two. If friends have found spouses, then we should have two. If friends have lost all the weight that they've intended to, then we have no excuse. And if friends have made big personal breakthroughs in their lives or their careers, and if these breakthroughs haven't yet happened for us, it's too late. They never will. Social media has become another place that we've allowed ourselves to entertain our deepest insecurities and our greatest fears. Now, these social platforms aren't going anywhere. If anything, they're becoming more central to our experience. So what do we do? Well, the great thing about being meaning makers is that not only can we create meaning, we can recreate meaning. We can redefine things. We can redecide what we want things to be in our lives. So if something takes on a meaning that no longer serves or empowers who we are, then we can change it. As meaning-making creatures, we have the power to. So my question for you all is this: what does social media mean to you? What role are you giving it? What space in your life are you letting it fill? What questions about yourself are you seeking for it to answer? What affirmations are you looking for it to give? When I sat down to answer these questions for myself, I decided that for me, social media will simply be a place for self-expression, an opportunity to connect with like-minded creators and thinkers and influencers, an opportunity to connect with people that love me and who I love. And that when social media would stop being these things, that I would back away from it for as long as I needed to. Because personally, if you ask me what social media has to do with our worth and our value and our significance and our importance and our contribution as people, I would have to say this: absolutely nothing. Thank you.